help us to go through the baby blues, as you mentioned, Sister Ayan?
Well, the key symptoms are just, feeling sad a lot of the time, feeling anxious, a lack of, interest in the things around you, in yourself. You're not looking after yourself very much. You're constantly worried that you're doing something wrong, despite reassurances. You're not getting enough sleep, in the sense that, not necessarily because the baby's keeping you up, but just generally you just can't sleep. You've got this disturbed sort of sleep going on. Also, concentration and making decisions become really difficult. You have low self-confidence. You either have a loss of appetite or an increase in appetite. So these are the things that you can kind of check for yourself for. But when we're talking about family, the key sort of warning signs that family can look out for is frequently crying for no apparent reason, difficulties bonding with the baby. That's one of the biggest things. Some mothers have a very hard time bonding with the child. They're neglecting themselves. They've lost sense of time, so they don't know whether it's 10 minutes or 2 hours have passed. So this complete sort of not being with it almost, losing their sense of humour, so you can't see the funny side in anything, and just worrying constantly that there's something wrong with the baby as well. So these are the things that family can look out for as well. And if you do notice these things, best thing to do is go and seek some professional help. Go and speak to the GP, speak to the midwife, the healthcare visitor who comes to see you, because they will be able to help you in a way that will actually pull you through it, because it's no good family, because sometimes you get family who say, oh, you know what, just get on with things, what are you moping around for, you've got a lovely baby, why can't you be happy? And those things don't help, because the last thing you need when you're going through postnatal depression is criticism or people telling you how you should be feeling. That doesn't help at all. So inshallah, be very, very supportive. Don't criticize. Don't just try and help them to go and see the professionals, inshallah, and they will get the help that they need to get through it in this way, inshallah.
Well, we're going to come back to this point of postnatal depression, but we've got a caller on the line from a sister. Assalamu alaikum, sister. You've got a question for us. Thank you for joining into the show.
Wa alaikum salam. Yes, I have. I just got two questions, really.
Okay.
This is I'm going to be due to give birth, inshallah, in a couple of weeks.
Oh,
inshallah. Thank you. This is my second pregnancy. I just wanted to know, in my first pregnancy, when I was going through labour, I didn't know what du'as to say. So what I did was, most of the time, I just kept listening just to Maryam and so Yasin, which got me through majority of my labour without gassing or anything. But then I had an emergency cesarean. This time round, I wanted to go for natural birth. But I just wanted to know, is there any du'as that I can say throughout my contractions or labour just to keep me more focused on the du'a rather than the pain? And the second question was, you know what, I forgot the second question. I forgot the second question. Let's focus on the first question. Yeah, so you can just help me just know. Oh yeah, that's it. I remembered it now. Yeah, the second question was, a lot of people say that if you give natural birth, all your previous sins will be expiated. Is that true? Or, I mean, if you have a cesarean, apparently it won't. But I haven't seen that anywhere, but I just wanted to know if that's true or not. And that's it, really.
Okay, Barakallah Feek for that question. We will answer those questions, inshallah, and address that, inshallah. But we'll just take another caller on the line. Assalamu alaikum, sister Ruqayya. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Barakallah Feek for joining into the show. Do you have a question or comment for us?
Sorry?
Do you have a question or a comment for us, sister?
No, I just wanted to share my experience of depression and when I had my last daughter.
Okay.
I have got 4 daughters, mashallah.
MashaAllah.
And 1 son. And, I was told a lot of things. I was said, because I actually, conceived at 40, and I was working, had a full-time job, and I had a lot of difficulty in the pregnancy. And I was told basically that the best thing was for me to terminate the pregnancy. I said no. I went through it. I was very, very sick, and the postnatal depression obviously starts when you're pregnant. Yeah, and it was very hard for me. But I think what, Allah actually helps. Yeah. In every step you take, inshallah, when you want to carry the child. She's mashallah now grown up. She's 15 now, and she wants to become a doctor. because her sisters are all well educated, and one's an optom, the other one is a lawyer, the other one is the head of psychology in the school. And basically, these things happen, and the family support is more important, which obviously I did not get much.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
thank you.
I was very sick. I kept praying. I kept praying Surah Yusuf and Surah Maryam. These are the two surah of the Quran, inshallah, helps a lot.
SubhanAllah. Well, Barakallah Fiki for your calls. I mean, that's really, really interesting. We've got a good mix of different callers, but I just want to continue off with the second caller, this issue of postnatal depression. And she did talk about her experiences of having, a really sad and difficult time, and how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala helped her through that, and how family support was very, very important. So I'd like to come to you, Sister Liz, on that issue as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think, as the sister said, alhamdulillah, she got through it. And I think what she said about, using Allah to give her strength, this is something really, really important. And, obviously we remember Allah in good times, but we should also remember Allah in bad times, and, try and absorb ourselves in as much dhikr, extra salah, extra ibadah as possible. And this will give us strength. Even if we find, sometimes I know what it's like when you're in difficulties, you do find you're literally dragging yourself through your salah sometimes, isn't it? But
that's right.
It will pay off. This investment in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it will pay off. And we know that Allah never burdens us with more than we can bear. So
absolutely, that's really, really important. Just a comment on that particular caller that we had last. We'll go to the other caller, inshallah, on the issue of postnatal depression. And what advice could you give to sisters out there who are going through that?
I've been through it as well, so I can relate to what the sisters are saying. But I think what's most important as well is that when we're going through things, we need to explain to our family our feelings, what we're feeling, so they can help us as well. Because sometimes we don't explain, or sometimes we just can't articulate ourselves. And also it's important to find people that have been through it as well. Because like the sister said on the call, people will judge you because they don't know how it feels. So it's really important to get someone who's been through it, and also obviously seek help from the professionals.
Absolutely.
But dua is really, really important, and it's just in our connection to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He will help us out. But again, it's just us. I think we really need to explain and say to people, I'm feeling this way, can you help me? Just ask for the help.
Just ask for the help.
Ask for the
Definitely.
help.
That's very, very important. Well, one of the callers, she did call in to ask about what du'as that she could make for her labour, because she's had a child before, and she wanted to know what kind of du'as that are there specifically out there, or maybe she could just make du'a. What do you think about that, sister?
In terms of du'a, I'm not a scholar, but I just make my own du'as. I know there's some that you can read in the Hisnul Muslim, but really, I just call on Allah, tell him how I'm feeling, and just ask for his help.
Absolutely, and we do encourage the sister to tune into Islam Q&A, which will be coming up at 12 o'clock, to ask a sheikh who can give you the fiqh sort of answer on that as well. Well, bringing up a child is a huge responsibility. I mean, just being, having had a newborn is definitely a struggle, but this is a long-term responsibility. So how can a mum cope and balance with sleepless nights and breastfeeding and cultivating a good relationship between her child and her husband and family? How does she start with that? How does she sort of gauge with that? Sister Iyan, I'd like to come to you for that.
Okay, first thing is acknowledge you're not Superwoman. Don't try and do everything, because you won't be able to. You're going to end up stressing yourself out. Ask your family members for help. If you've got family around you, ask them for help. Ask your husband for help. Tell them exactly what it is that you need. Say, look, I need this to get done. I won't be able to do it. Could you help me with that? When it comes to other kids as well, give them a little bit of responsibility. Make them feel like,
they've got a part to play.
They've got a part to play, and it helps to kind of kindle this sort of love and a sense of wanting to protect them, making them feel like they're their guardian. So let them hold them, let them help you while you're bathing them, let them prepare a bottle if you're doing that, or just things like that, and talk to them, and even kind of share, their baby pictures with them, and say, look, this is what you look like when you were a baby. Look at your brother or sister. Do you think you guys look alike?
I had a bit of a responsibility, actually. Like my sister, when she was, big enough to crawl, she would crawl up to the stairs. I had the responsibility of actually taking her down from the stairs, which was a bit of a, a bit of a struggle. But it reminds me of that. Sister Liz, do you have any tips as well, Nick?
Again, I'd just like to pick up on something that Sister Khafaya said about following your instincts. This is really important, and I think be secure in the decisions that you make. I think especially when we're first-time mums, you always think everybody's looking at you and thinking, oh gosh, why is she doing that? Why is she doing this? And I had, you know, the same thing, because I was, you know, I'm very much an advocate of like attachment theory parenting. So, you know, I was like baby wearing, and, you know, for the first 3 months, like I think my daughter was with me like 24/7. She slept on me, she ate on me, everything. And everyone, I had lots of people saying to me, oh, you've got to put her down, you've got to do this, you've got to do that. But, you know, be secure in your decisions, and, you know, just if it's working for you, then go with it.
Definitely. And Sister Kafaya, you've got a new project that you're doing, Finding the You That You Never Knew.
It's a book called The You Never Knew.
So does it sort of address these sort of issues?
It would, yes, because it's like what Sister Liz said, it's just finding what works for you and your baby, because what worked for you would not work for me. Every baby's, I'll say, they're unique, aren't they? So even if you have another child, we know that I've got 4 children and they're all different. You know, so, and it's just treating that baby as an individual.
Absolutely.
Giving them their respect, their rights as well, you know, so it's just finding that rhythm and what works for both of you.
It's this thing that you get sometimes when you read, you know, I said I read a lot of the baby books, and you always say, by this stage they should be doing this, by this stage they should be doing that, and I really hate that, because, you know, as you said, they're all individual.
It makes you feel nervous, because I remember my son, he started to speak quite late, and I used to get really worried about it, thinking, does he have a speech problem? But in fact, it wasn't that, because we speak too many languages at home, and he was finding it hard to pick up on one. So it's kind of like it does make you worry sometimes. There
has to be a sort of balance, isn't it? You've got to, if you sort of build yourself up to expectations, and if they don't come, then that could add to the stress that you don't necessarily need at the time when you do have your baby, isn't it? So, well, barakallah feek for that. Some interesting tips and a really interesting discussion as well, so thank you for that. Children bring their own joys and sorrows, and motherhood can be a most rewarding and challenging role, which is why Allah and the Prophet, peace be upon him, have put such emphasis on the mother's role and responsibility in raising children. While being a parent can be hard, the rewards are abundant, and we should never forget the mercy of Allah. Remember that help is always out there if things get hard. Finding solace in Allah is number one, and that professional help is on hand to give you the tools to get through the baby blues. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala recognizes motherhood and parenthood as hard work, and with every effort made, He surely rewards it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Luqman, and we have enjoined man in respect of his parents. His mother bears him with faintings upon faintings, and his weaning takes 2 years, saying, be grateful to me and to both your parents. To me is the eternal coming. Well, that was a really interesting and really beautiful discussion there from the sisters. But what do you think about this issue? We'd love to hear from you and your comments. Please email us at womensam@islamchannel.tv, or contact us on our Facebook page, or tweet us at @islamchannel, #womensam. We're off to another break now, but do stay tuned, as we will be back with our last segment, where we will be looking at a great selection of products for the young and old. See you in 3. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.